So the change just came from the discussion that
The
you had.
discussion, because although he was very, very, very touched by my statement that the Queen has got dogs. They are the best fed. They eat steak, good meat, fish, the best, but they are nevertheless dogs, and therefore not free. So I was telling him that I would rather be free than be a dog of somebody.
Africa.
That's right. That's what I was saying.
Why do you relate it with now? Why do you relate it with the situation in Uganda?
How do I relate it to?
With the situation in Uganda, because in this
Situation
sense,
in Uganda, of course, neither Museveni no other leaders who have ruled Uganda have been as extreme or as notorious as Idi Amin. He stands on his own record. I can tell you one of his terrible acts. He once took a minister who had been my colleague at Makerere, but had been made a minister in his regime. And one evening, Amin called him, and he said, "Let me show you why you people, you must obey my orders without question." So he put him in his car. They went in the suburb of Kampala, I will not mention, and he called the minister, another minister there. And in the presence of the witness, he said, "You people, you are disobeying my orders. This is what happened." He shot him.
the minister he called.
Yes,
In the
he
presence
shot
of the
him
young
dead.
minister.
Yes. No other leader in Uganda has ever done that.
And then that's the
It is the
pillar.
worst. He was the worst leader. But you know, we have founded Kanyeihamba Foundation. At the age of 82, I am still working very hard. And that is going to be here. We are going to convert this residence, this garden, into perhaps the best museum and tourism. It will be called Kanyeihamba Foundation.
Aiming at doing what?
One of the aims is to put here effigies and photographs, rather in clay, of all the leaders that have led Uganda since its birth, starting with the Governor General in 1894, one by one, going through all of them: Johnson, Crawford, Andrew Cohen, and then coming to Ben Chwanuka, and then Obote, then Idi Amin. His picture will be here because he ruled Uganda. You can't wipe out history. Our children must remember, hey, these were the rulers of Uganda. And this one was one of the most notorious. Museveni was the most corrupt of the most. He will be here.
So Amin was the most notorious and Museveni was the most corrupt.
Corrupt, yes. That's right.
If we are rating Idi Amin Dada and we are looking at President Museveni's regime, many people are castigating and they are blaming President Museveni, saying he's worse more than Idi Amin Dada. What is your say about that?
No, I think that all the regimes we have in Uganda, and I've been around even longer before, not longer before, but before independence. Independence found me as a youth. Now, my own judgment is that the worst of them all is Idi Amin. He even beats Museveni, even today. But on corruption alone, Museveni is second to none with his regime. In fact, to qualify for high office, to qualify to be anybody under the NRM, there are two qualifications. You must be corrupt, and your intelligence must be one of the lowest. In other words, he has increased beyond our cost the number of officials in the country, local government officials, LDC, and others. They are numerous, but their IQ, intelligence quotient, is the lowest you could ever find in any country.
But again, it looks to be the reverse, because the public now looks at President Museveni as he has got intelligence, and it is at a high level in Uganda. Here, people fear him because of intelligence.
I don't know anybody who fears Museveni because of intelligence. You have to give me statistics, you have to give me the names. But they fear Museveni because of brutality. Brutality emanating from his police forces, whom he calls my boys. No other president has ever called people's workers, rather government forces, my boys. Secondly, by the way, that had that term when the Rwanda rebels invaded the Kigali and overthrew the duly elected president of Rwanda. Museveni is on record saying, "My boys will defeat Habyarimana and his thugs."
Calling them my boys because he has a rapport, that close relationship, or it is undermining?
No, because they had been refugees in Uganda and fought with us for liberation of Uganda, and then he used them to go and liberate Rwanda, their own country. They were there for his boys. If you remember, even people like Kagame used to work with Museveni. Kagame, Rijemera, all those were in the Uganda army.
I don't get you very well. When you say that they are his boys from somewhere, they are not Ugandan born. He came with them from somewhere. What is the reality?
It is Museveni's origin is not in doubt. He has written a foreword in a book called "The Clans, Totems, and the People of Kigezi." He's from Kigezi, like me. But Kigezi, we have 3 tribes. They are the Bachiga, who are the dominant group there. You have the Bahororo, who come from Rukunjiri. You have the Banyarwanda, who come from Kisoro. But there is a small one, they are called Batwa. They are also from Kisoro and Rwanda, where I come from. And if you read my autobiography, The Blessings and the Joy of Who You Are, you'll find that the Musevenis of this world, the Kanyeihambas of this world, the Ruhakana of this world, the Mbabazi of this world, our origin is Rwanda or Congo, Nyamulenge. People like Muwezi, their ancestors trace their roots into the provinces of Congo and Rwanda. But that is not a reason to say they are not Ugandans. If you look in the book, the paternal uncle of Museveni, according to him, is called Kanyeihamba. Kanyeihamba is a Kinyarwanda name. Then you ask, how did the Munyankole, he calls himself Munyankole, call himself Kanyeihamba? You find that people like Chigongo came originally from Rwanda. Chigongo. Chigongo, the deputy chairman of the NRM party. But it is a long time ago. I often tell my Baganda friends. Ndi musajja wa Kabaka. Me. Because not only on his land, on my land, which Museveni wants to abolish, because when he abolishes land board, land tenure, he will also abolish my land. Therefore, I have to go back to Kigezi presumably. But I'm 82. He will have to carry me there. I will die here. But having said that, Museveni is a Munyakigezi. And he said so himself. In the book, The Clans, Totems, and the Customs of the Banyakigezi. And he's traced from outside Uganda into Uganda, then into Nyarushanje, which is not very far from my own birthplace. And then the family migrated to Rukunjiri, and then from Rukunjiri, then he was a small boy, they migrated to Ntungamo, and from Ntungamo, he went to Wachitula. Now, therefore, is a Munyakigezi, and he said so.
Just a moment. Nkobye nti tulina Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyeihamba kulingirira ku nsonga eddendawulo ediriwo mu iwanga lino erya Uganda. Ensonga gy'okudogera nga ali kulaga ebindi ku ebyo by'obaire oba nga weebuuza nga tobidi. Kyonna kuba ate nga tutayisira ku kintu kye twandibaire tulinga ku ssaawa eno. Akoba yazaalibwa nga Uganda ekalina kwefuga. Uganda ewezezza emyaka 59. Biki bye twandibaire tusuubira nti byandibaire biboneka ssaawa eno mu Uganda aye nga tibiboneka. Ye lwaki Uganda ekali kutuuka mu kaire kuba ate nga yeefuze? In reality, what we want to know, the independence of Uganda, we term Uganda now 59 years. If he's a father, he must be having children and grandsons, and he must have planned for his family at the age of 59. Are you happy when you look at Uganda with all what you see and with all what you expected at the age of 59? And shall you join the world to celebrate this independence?
This is not the Uganda I expected in 2021. It certainly is not the Uganda I hoped for or worked for, because I have worked for this country very industriously, hoped for in 1995. 1995, Ugandans as a whole made the mother of all laws of Uganda, we call the Constitution. I was chairman of the Legal and Drafting Committee. And in that committee, some of the best brains and best lawyers were delegates. They had been elected, as I had been elected in Rwanda, my county then. And when I got there, I was acclaimed to be the chairman of the Legal and Drafting Committee because I had been a lecturer of law at Makerere. I co-founded Makerere with the late Professor Joseph Kakoza. And so all the delegates, I had written already about 3 books on constitutional law. So they realized I was quite knowledgeable. And so they all acclaimed me as the chairman of the Legal and Drafting Committee. I can assure you, my brother, there is not a single word or comma which is in the Uganda Constitution which the Legal Drafting Committee, of which I was chairman, did not pass. My deputy was none other than Senior Counsel Ben Wacha. He represented the Northern Region. The other members of my committee included Professor Nabudere, El Karuhanga, who is now, I think, the chairman of the DFCU Bank, and many other who later became judges and the ministers of justice. Those who participated in the provisions about the judiciary, its relationship with the executive, included Kanyeihamba, the chairman of the Legal and Drafting Committee, the late Justice Mulenga, Joseph Mulenga, who was not only also himself Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, but also leader, presidential vice president of DP. It included Ben Wacha as my deputy. It included Matembe for the women.
The Matembe we see here.
The Matembe we see here, who is now the convener of the Kanyeihamba Foundation. She's kindly agreed to be the convener of the Kanyeihamba Foundation, which later on, if you have time, I will describe it to you. Then we had people who became judges after the CA. Although she was not a member of the Constituent Assembly, he was not. Please,
where do we see his involvement in the Constitution?
He chaired a Constitutional Review Commission which found the views before we made the Constitution of the people how they wanted to be governed. And some of the proposals he made, we accepted. The majority we rejected. But he never participated, not even once, in the actual making of the Constitution. So President Museveni is in error, terrible error, in criticizing Odochi for making provisions on bail. Bail was universally accepted in the country. All the lawyers, all of us in the CA, from North, Buganda, Western, Northern region, all of us unanimously approved the provisions about bail.
But what was its genesis? Was it created, was it thought about within you? It was a consultation from the public. Then you people at the table and then the committee had to agree about it.
Ugandans, we must learn some history. Bail is an international norm. We are a signatory, and we were already a signatory, even as a protectorate, to the United Nations Charter.
Yeah.
Every member of the United Nations Charter, if you sign, you accept the right to apply for bail. So Uganda was already.
So it was not said that we decide whether we or we don't.
There was no question of deciding. Recently they asked me about it, and they said that Museveni is definitely wrong and out of order in opposing the right to bail because it is a human right recognized universally by the AU. We belong to the AU, we are a member state. We signed the AU Charter. By the United Nations first, 1948, we signed, became a member.
Professor,
So what I have told people about bail is if Museveni really is serious and is not just playing silly politics, he should say Uganda will withdraw from the membership of the UN, from the membership of African Union, and then he can come to Uganda. Since we no longer are members of the United Nations community, since no longer we are not members of the African Union, now we can abolish bail.
Professor, nja kusaba ensonga eyo ogimpumbirewo mu Luganda. Waliwo abatagitegedde mu Luzungu. President Museveni waba ayagala okuggyawo bail akola atya?
Bw'aba ayagala kuggyako bail, ensi yaffe tulina omukago. I don't know what you call omukago in Uganda. Friendship. What is in Uganda? Namwe muyite omukago. Tulina omukago. Twasa ku sign ne amawanga gonna bagiyita United Nations. Ensi zonna Kenya, Uganda, Britain, America zonna mweziri. twateekako omukono nti byekkiriza naffe byetukigiriza kwegamba tulina endagaano n'amawanga amalala. Ekyokubiri, tuli ku kibiina kya Africa Union, amawanga g'abadugavu. Ffenna tuli mu kibiina kimu bakiyita African Union. Naffe nabo bakkiriza nti okusaba beero ng'olina omusango mukulu, bakutaddeko omusango mukulu, ekyo kiteekwe kubeerawo. Ffenna tukikkiriza. Kale kyenyogedde mu Lungereza ngamba nti singa omwami Museveni ali serious nga tazaanazaana na politics n'atulimbalimba wano na wali yandibere n'agamba nti katube mu kibiina kya United Nations. Uganda tugambe nti tukyali ba memba. Nga tuvulemu agende Addis Ababa agambe abakulembeze bonna ba Africa n'agamba nti ffe Uganda ebyabeero tetubyagala, tuvudde mu kibiina kino kubanga mutugema tubeere kyo. Kale yandisoose n'ebyo nga tanaba kugamba kokasi manya NRM party kubanga semateeka waffe teyakolwa kokasi ya NRM. Kokasi ya teyaliwo.
Naye bali babaka ba parliament anti be bali mu parliament.
Kokasi ya parliament kyoyogera
anti sengamba
omuntu agamba parliament abamanyisa parliament ya Uganda.
Te parliament ya Uganda teriyo.
Kambe kankubuuze. Parliament ya Uganda abantu betwalonda twabalonda ba representing Jinja East, ba representing Kapsabwa, Karamoja, tebatalonda ba representing NRM. Ate ojukira nabolereza bali bayeta ba MP Rebels. Sijukira n'amanya gabo banna ne omusinga n'engusinga.
Enoni Baba TV obusoga bulayire.
Corona taliko mugezi, taliko musiru, taliko mugagga, taliko mwavu. Tugayaliridde okubeera nga twambala obukookolo nga tulowooza nti corona taliiwo. Tugayaliridde ebyo byateekebwawo gavumenti ne minisitule y'obulamu, wabula corona kasogayalira ebyo ebiri mu kutuusaako corona akukwata atayinza n'okujjawo obulamu bwo.
Weewala okukwatibwa akawuka ka COVID-19 ng'okola bino wammanga, naaba mu ngalo ne sabbuuni, yambala masiki yo, teekawo akabanga wakati wo n'abakuliraanye, weewala omujjuzo, sigala ewaka, weewala okukwata mu ngalo wamu n'okwegwa mu bifuba, genda bakugeme.
Welcome wherever you are on Planet Football.
You can go anywhere in the world, but nobody feels football like we do.
There's no feeling like that feeling.
It's a rhythm that moves us.
A wild celebration.
The 90 hours banter before the 90-minute game.
Tony is very lucky that his father is a better person than Ole.
It's football or nothing.
Had a look, had a hit. Oh! What a finish.
Football. Le football.
Soccer.
Goal of a lifetime.
Wallon Kafa.
Splendid football. Put the champagne on ice. Not done yet.
Nothing beats that.
Nothing compares to DSTV's unbeatable football offering. So stay connected to watch the best football on the planet.
anti Maria and Jesus yasooka natuleetera wayini mu kikuubo mwatukoledde akashera maribushera Santa Maria kali mu vitamini zonna omusajja ne bw'otolidde emmere kakumala bumazi ate gwe omukyala bw'onywa akashera kano odda buto kakuleetera essanyu ly'omu maka lyonna n'omwana ng'addamu ssomero kamupaakingire kubanga n'abato kabawoomera akashera ka Maria and Jesus kasanya mu supermarket zonna gw'omusuubuzi jangu ku Maria and Jesus ekabalagala mu maaso ga Equity Bank mu junction oba mu kikuubo okulina na ABC Bank bw'otuuka mu supermarket maribushera k'osoosa mu shopping yo Maria and Jesus nate bakuguliddewo ssemaduuka w'engoye original okuva e London omuli engato z'abakyala n'abaami obugoye bw'abaana abato n'engato z'abaana abato masuuti zino jeans canvas twala tugende kabalagala mu maaso ga Equity Bank ewaali pep
Nile Plastics, equipped with the state-of-the-art machinery to produce high-quality household plastic products to meet international standards. Our plastic products have helped make life a lot organized and simpler for people in Uganda and beyond. Our unique and stylish products range from kitchen products, restaurant products, children's products, different sizes of customized chairs and tables designed to make your home, restaurant, reception, or waiting area classy and stylish. Our first ever 4-layer water tank stand the test of time. They are durable and come in various sizes that suit our customers' needs. Contact us today and get the best from this source. We are located in Jinja, Njeru Town, or call us on +256 753 920 221.
Mulongo fina nsangibwa enambole bakuloga oyagala kuzema logo omwagala oyakulekawo ayinza okubanga ali bulaya oba ali muno oyinza okubanga tozaala nawe omwami enyuma musaizi nga n'amanyi g'esajja gakendera jangu mulongo fina abikolako omwana omuwala ofumo bwagaana tiwagenda anakande ekyogo wekiri ekyambula ekyemikisa bizinesi yo tetambula bulungi ababbi bakubba oyagala kuzaabe bakubba jangu mulongo fina kutereza embeera zo nga nkujjanjabe nga kwesa eddagala lyaffe ery'obutonde mulongo fina asangibwa enambole.
Enoni Baba TV obusoga bulayire.
Nti tulina Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyeihamba kulingirira ku nsonga eddendawulo ediriwo mu iwanga lino erya Uganda. Ensonga gy'okudogera nga ali kulaga ebindi ku ebyo by'obaire obanga weebuuza nga tobidi. Ababaka balondebwa bantu naye ne bajja mu paalamenti negamba waliwo eddembe lya ebibiina ebyobufuzi okukolako kaseezi. Kati NRM erinako kasi opposition nabo babeera ne bukokasi bwabwe kyogamba kati ekyo kizibu kimenya mateeka
kizibu kwegamba tukuba tennis
mu Uganda
nzi kuba tennis na one time nali president wa Uganda Lawn Tennis Association nze nsooka mperukayo to get an international meeting at Rugogo when I was president. Nga sinaba akubananka ni handicapped nali deputy chairman wa board of trustees of golf naye siyinza kugamba nti kubanga nkuba golf nkuba tena mbitwali mu kooti ngende nsale musango kubanga ndi wa kooti Kuba tena.
Oleeta amateeka agabafuga eri mu
Eri. Toyinza kuleeta amateeka agafuga ekibiina kyawe. Kya NRM oba DP oba Conservative n'ogaleeta n'ogateeka mu Parliament. Otugenda kukozesa gano. Museveni rules bagambye nti yanankani asamuninga ba members ba Parliament ba NRM bagende bakyuse beeru. Tebayinza. Tebandi badenga basane naye fit ava kukikola. Kubanga bw'olaba ye kyayagala akyakola. Afunye erinnya erirala. Mu 2096, when he was in the bush, then the election is 1911. That's when 1991. All the elections, he never called himself Tibuhaburwa. Except he has decided to call himself that name in 2021, which in Ruchiga Runyankole, by the way, the official language, which is supposed to be spoken in Kigezi and Ankole, is called, if you are in Ankole, you say Chinyankole Ruchiga. If you are in Kigezi, you say Ruchiga Runyankole. The same language. But he's always emphasizing everywhere that's we in Runyankole, which is a misnomer.
So it's just.
So what I am saying
you were speaking about the name.
Is that he's now authoritarian. He no longer respects the law, but all contradicts his own character before. When he became president of Uganda, he went and addressed in his maiden speech the African leaders at the Addis Ababa meeting. And he's on record saying the problem with African leaders is that they are overstaying office. Not even they overstay when they are not wanted. No, not wanted is not there.
Because nowadays he says that Ugandans vote for him, in spite of the fact that he made that statement.
We shall come to that. Who votes for him?
The Ugandan is
losing every election all the time.
How comes that he's now the president?
Read this book here. He intimidated the court. Bring this one. I have given you a copy so that you can even read the whole copy in Rusoga to the people who get Rusoga. You people, you are the problem in Uganda.
Which people?
You, the idiot, the journalist. I am going to see how you will deal with what I'm going to tell you. Presidential elections in Uganda are governed by Article 104.
The Constitution.
You can even read it here. I put it there. It's very short. I want you to read it and translate it in Rusoga.
Which page?
It is on page somewhere. Everything is here. You don't have to go to the Constitution or to ask Constitution lawyer. I have simplified everything there. But let me tell you, you'll find it is here. It says, if you dispute that the president was not properly elected, you petition the Supreme Court. It's the only one which hears the petition about presidential elections. It is Article 104. And when you have petitioned, the petition shall be filed in the Supreme Court within 10 days after the declaration of the result. So you have only 10 days
to petition.
Unless the court allows you to file outside that.
And we've
but
had many people.
It's not in the Constitution. Justice demands that. Then you must declare You must inquire into the petition. I want you to listen to those words. You shall inquire into the petition and then declare findings, not a judgment. Findings within 30 days.
Is it done?
It is not done. That's what I'm telling you. Every petition, they have not done what the Constitution demands. And so Museveni continues winning unfairly.
So who does not do that, and who blocks those willing to do it?
The lawyers, but especially the judges of the Supreme Court. I am going to illustrate this one so that everything else you read. This Constitution,
the one we have now,
is okay. But the Presidential Election Act of 2005 contains an illegal provision.
Which is that?
It is paragraph A, subsection 6 of section 59 of that act, Presidential Election Act 2005. Paragraph A is illegal. Not only is it illegal, it is the one which allows the judges to declare the NRM party president winner every time, whether he loses or not. Yes.
It is in the Constitution that the judges will declare the NRM some candidate.
It is in Article A, I told you, of the Presidential Election Act. We are talking about two laws. Article 104 of the Constitution, it has no problem. It is here. You read it. I have cited it. But they put a grace on the article in 2005. Remember, the Constitution was 1995.
1995.
Yeah, 1995. But this gross A was invented in 2005 after Parliament had been bribed to change the law so that they drop term limits. And they paid 5 million to the MPs to change. Those who refused to change the Constitution, including Kategaya, Amanya Mshega, Miria Matembe, Bidandi Sadi, they were sacked from cabinet. You have short memories, you remember. They were sacked because they refused the bribe of 5 million and refused to pass paragraph A.
And now this becomes the song nowadays. Remember recently when the Parliament was discussing on age limit.
Yes.
The Parliament, the members of Parliament are driven like that. I want to ask you, Professor, do we still...
Before I go there. Paragraph A, clause 6 of section 59 of the Presidential Election Act is not in the Constitution. It is a fraud on the country. But let me tell you what it tells you. It says, after you have found that the election was rigged, after you have found that the Constitution was violated, after you have found that the security forces, the army and the police, interfered in the election, after you have discovered that it was bribery, then the judge should ask himself, and that is paragraph A. Did it make any difference to the result? Did what you have found make any difference to the result?
No.
And the answer every time has been no. And you are also saying no. Why do you say no? If I kill some candidates so that they don't stand against me, I imprison their supporters, So my votes continue increasing. Then I rig the election in my favor. Then I am announced that I won the election by 90%. Then you ask the judge, would it have made any difference to the results, the 90%? And he says yes. And you say, it's okay, it's okay. Is it okay? Okay. If I said, I am supposed to lock my door here, so that, what is your name, sir? Mwesigwa. So that Mwesigwa does not enter. But I left it ajar, without locking it. Then you come with your car and you enter. Would my not locking the door have made any difference? The answer is yes.
It made a difference.
But the judge has already said no.
Are they working for the person?
Thank you very much. You know my series of articles called Land Review are coming out. They are coming under the title, in Uganda, anything is unpredictable. They are going to be very big volumes, publishing all my articles. And in one article, I said, do not pander to Museveni. Judge said, he appointed me judge. She's wrong. You are even defaming Museveni. Museveni cannot nominate and appoint judges.
Why?
Because the Constitution says judicial officers must be nominated by the Judicial Service Commission before they are appointed by the president. But he ignores that part and just nominates and appoints.
So now Mr. Museveni is doing the two.
Yes.
The Judicial Service Commission is no longer...
I even wrote to the chairman of the Electoral Commission, he's never answered. Because in Uganda, if something is right and somebody is complaining about it, you conspicuously keep silent. The chairman of the Judicial Service Commission, I wrote to him a letter, he ignored it. I was appointed a commissioner, one man's commissioner, to investigate corruption in the judiciary, abuse of office, and incompetence. I named 7 judges and 4 police, yes, who evidence showed me. 3 of them were named by the Chief Justice himself. Say Kanyeihamba, he's the one who appointed me. And he said, name these 3. The evidence is clear. Those 3 included the one him announced publicly that this judge is corrupt, that he is compromised on murder cases and other serious offenses. He himself, the Chief Justice then, Bata Katurebe, called a press conference. And then he had asked me to name them as corrupt. But I found 4 others, and I named 7 judges of the Supreme Court.
What was done?
Nothing. Oh, what was done? After about 2-3 years, they were all cleared.
They are still serving currently.
The letter here, you people, you should publish it. The Kanyeihamba is telling a lie. No one in the judiciary is corrupt.
Those judges,
including those that the Chief Justice himself named, they were cleared as innocent.
And they are still in service.
They are in service. Some of them were promoted.
Oli ku Baba TV, Neno TV, washabazinga Professor Dr. Wilson George Kanyeihamba. Atikoba nti Uganda nesinga regime ya President Museveni, according to him, nesinga obuli obwenguzi. Tirawo yakola okunonereza.
They want to misquote me. According to experts. Don't contribute. This is a part of the Uganda problem. You personalize things. It is according to the experts.
Okusinzira ku bakugu. research shows that Uganda currently, the regime of President Museveni, the corruption is high, and according to
the highest among all other regimes, including the colonial one.
And Professor Dr. Kanyeihamba did the research naming corrupt judges in judiciary.
Being commissioned by the Chief Justice, but Kature, I have the letter here.
And still now those people are still serving minus any punishment.
Some were promoted and they are still serving, including those named by the Chief Justice himself, Bata Kature.
Okay then, as we look at, there is a lot we can discuss about Uganda. Do we have a purpose of celebrating as Uganda makes 59 years, or as other people, I was with Dr. Kano, Dr. Kizza Besigye, and was saying it's time to lament than celebrating. What to say about that?
No, I think it's not to celebrate 100%, but it is not to lament 100% either.
Ali ku Baba TV yongera okubatenga otugoberera nina Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyeihamba akobera edini ku nsonga edibeera mu iwanga lino erya Uganda. Suubira osobola okubatenga oyega era nga obaako n'ensonga doyega. Iwe owakatwegeeta ku edini ku nsonga dayogeire ku obuli mu lulimi Olungereza ng'akulaga nti waliwo obundi kubuwaayira obuli mu isemateeka according to him and research bwakuba nti buyinza okuba nga buli kukusibwanga bukukusibwe ng'oba oli awo bwali nga tibulina kuba ate nga bubaamu era nga buziramu ssaawa eno. So according to him and research shows nti Uganda ssaawa eno tusobola okuba ate nga tubana n'ensonga edaguza waire nga waliwo okuna ebyo ebindi ebitatulera kuba ate nga tudagusa. What could be the reasons why we don't need to celebrate as Uganda at 59?
No, I first wanted to say we celebrate. The expectation of life has increased since colonial time, since Idi Amin. I think it is now around about 60, whereas when we were a colony, it was around 49, 50. That is something to celebrate. Secondly, at the time of independence, we had one university, Makerere, and 1 or 2 tertiary colleges, including Chambogo. Now we have over 20 universities. That is something to celebrate. Sadly, we have established medical centers almost on every county, or what was in those days sub-county, and the people have access to medicine, which my parents and their generation dreamt of. That is something to celebrate. So there are a number of achievements almost in every regime that we can celebrate. But sadly, the reverse coin is correct. There are others where we regret. I have told you that now corruption in Uganda has become respected and is a qualification for office. We no longer consider corruption as a bar from government office. We have ministers who were condemned by parliament as corrupt. 1 or 2 may have been cleared by the judiciary, but I'll talk about the judiciary also, because these days you can get any verdict you pay for. And I'm saying that very wisely. Nevertheless, they were reappointed ministers. One of them, whom I know very well, has been named, rightly or wrongly, that is involved in the unsavory activities of offshore trade. You know what that means? He is collaborating with the mafia that do business outside jurisdiction of countries. And he's a minister.
I understand.
Really, it is terrible. And yet, he had also been named, rightly or wrongly, as corrupt in Shogam. But there are people whom the IGG has said are untouchable. One of them is none other than, I think still is the treasurer of the NRM. He's called Basaja Balaba Hassan, Hassan, who I used to know his father when I had just become Minister of Commerce in the 90s. His father used to be a very nice Muslim trader in hides and skins. Basaja Balaba has confessed to very spectacular records of corruption. If you remember, even President Museveni commented on his stealing 142 billion shillings, where he was taken to court. And Museveni said he should pay the money, but he has never paid the money. But he's retained by the NRM as treasurer.
Let me ask you just at that point. Many people have been in that saga, and the president has made directives, and such directives are not effected. Who is playing such games? Either to fail President Museveni's directives, or President Museveni doesn't have the will.
No, he hasn't. Boss, he's playing games.
President Museveni?
Yes, playing games, pure and simple. And I say it as an old man who served him and who was very, very influential in the founding of the principles of the NRM as a movement.
So it doesn't mean what he speaks?
He doesn't. I am going to give you a very vivid example, and you put it in Rusoga. During the elections, he bragged that he's going to destroy Nupe. Is it Nupe?
No, Nope.
Nope. The party of Sentam Chagulanyi. And he said, don't worry about that. It will be nowhere. Now, wasn't he telling lies when the whole of Uganda and the part of Busoga voted for Chagulanyi and his party? He didn't have even one single seat won in Uganda, except I think one area or two.
So he failed.
He not only failed, he knew, and he had been informed you are losing ground in Uganda. So Museveni is telling lies to the Baganda Wajigere that I'm going to liberate your land.
So we
he can't do.
We couldn't expect more, and we couldn't fear more when he speaks?
Absolutely not. You see, you people, you are afraid of him. Many people no longer listen to him.
Ugandans listen to him, and whenever he's speaking, many feel like...
You are too young, are you?
Yeah.
Do you remember people when he has a national... when he addresses the nation with the state of the nation? Do you know how many MPs are asleep in the parliament? Including the first prime minister.
So is that an indication that they are tired?
If people who are supposed to listen, they have been summoned to parliament or to the national conference to listen very carefully to the president, and they go to sleep. What do you expect of the ordinary people in their houses? They are awake, are they?
Okay, just as we're planning to summarize, I just want us to complete with these issues, then the Kanyeihamba Foundation. Wrapping up Uganda, or the sequence of events and the nature of President Museveni, what is the future of Uganda in 5 10 years to come?
I am glad that we are going to talk about the Kanyeihamba Foundation because that is why I have made it, but we shall come to it. No person, not one individual, can destroy a country, either by himself or his oligarchy or his friends and family. Nobody. The Shah of Iran, who was invisible, was overthrown. The king of Ethiopia, Emperor Haile Selassie, where they said, if you even imagine harm to the king, you will be hanged. Just to imagining. Yes, you will be hanged. Yes. He died in jail. Gaddafi, who said revolutions don't leave office, lived by his word. He died in a manhole, hiding from his people. And when an ordinary angry man came, Gaddafi put up his hand, what did I do for you? Crying. The man cut his head off. An ordinary citizen. Then Hussein of Iraq was also found hiding in a manhole with all his hair looking like an animal, had been in hiding for some days. And when the Americans found him, said, I am very relieved to be found by my enemies. Then more importantly, apartheid of South Africa was based on face. The South African whites believed that South Africa will always remain a white man country. The Africans were inferior. And one time, Smith, their neighbor, a white man, said, Africa will never be, Rhodesia will never be governed for 1,000 years. They were all overthrown.
Your examples are quite logical.
We, who is Museveni, to defy the course of history? He will go. I have told you.
Because he must, or because it is now time?
Both. He must go because it is time. He must go because he will be forced out.
But he has blamed that. Recently, what happened in Ghana, you saw he was making an address and blaming that and saying that is uncalled for, and we, as Africa, we couldn't behave like that.
Oh, failing leaders. And I want to use the word failing rather than bad leaders. Because basically Museveni is not a bad man. But he's tired, exhausted, and he's failing. All failing leaders blame others.
Katumulemu katono tusobola okuba ate nga twongera wetwidde okuba ate nga tuyirira tudda kuba ate nga tulingirira ku nsonga ed'endawulo. Ali ku Baba TV yongera okuba ate nga tugoberera nina Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyeihamba